Hi and hello, viewers. Welcome to the Kumbi Jikku show. We are here to do the review of the recently concluded India-Pakistan World Cup 2025 game at Colombo. To discuss more on this and throw more light on the game, my good friend Guruvayurappan Krishnan, fondly called as Jikku, an avid cricket writer who's been in the business for more than 2 decades. He himself tried his hand at playing cricket for some time and also was a qualified state panel umpire with the Tamil Nadu Cricket Association. No wonder his hat collection is so much. You know, I'm a haberdasher. Haberdasher is one who's got collection of hats. So I don't know what else he's got unturned to wear one more hat. And again, as usual, welcome to the GK Sports India channel, which I'm pretty sure the viewers would be enjoying watching the previews and reviews of all the games that India are involved and basically this World Cup. Welcome, Jikko, to the show, and I can see all 32 teeth and all smiles. So, what's the reason behind that? And India comfortably, romping home with an 88-run victory, foregone conclusion. Nothing surprising. So, your opening comments. What's your take on yesterday's game?
Hi Sri and hello viewers. Thank you very much, Sri, for the kind words. And so any Indian would be definitely happy with an Indian victory in a World Cup. More so if it is against Pakistan. 4 consecutive Sundays, 4 India versus Pakistan matches. The result has not changed. So India 4-0 just in just this October month. And yes, I have I can show off all my 32 teeth. Yes, I can grin, but then I have 12 reasons to smile also. It's 12-0. Like we said in the preview, 11-0 has indeed become 12-0, and there is no stopping India, especially against Pakistan in the World Cup matches.
Fantastic, Jiko. I think four Sundays of partying for Indians, for a very valid reason. What is it that always associates the India-Pakistan games, Jiko? There's always a needle when we see the Indian men play Pakistan men. There's a contest, and there's so much of air about the game, anxiety, cross country, across the nations. As always, a lot of discussions, and we did see at the toss there were no handshakes. Post game, there were no pleasantries exchanged, and that was what the Indian girls also decided to do, toward the line of what the Indian men did. But as always, as I said, without a controversy, does an India-Pakistan game start or end? And, it all started with the fiasco at the toss. The Pakistan captain calling tails and what the referee heard. So how do you look at the way the game started and how it panned out?
Yeah, of course. It has. I think it has got to do with the history per se between the two nations, right from 1947 when the nations got independence. So there has got to be more to do with that, plus the close contests we have seen until in recent times, and whenever there were bilaterals, whenever they were possible, it was closely contested, and there have been some great players from either nations, and it's mainly got to do with the history behind it, and each one, they don't want their nation to lose, especially to the other one. Like India, they don't those Indian countrymen don't want to lose against Pakistan, and it's vice versa, and it's natural. So that makes it even more closer contest, much evenly keenly awaited. But then going by the last 4 Sundays, it's becoming a no contest, and that's what it is. Yes, and any India-Pakistan match, even if there is no needle, there will be some needle from some corner, and it so happened, especially from unforeseen quarters or unexpected quarters, especially at the toss when you have a match referee and you also have a commentator as experienced and as seasoned as Mel Jones, who perhaps should have heard tails, but then she also said heads, and the wrong team won, as in the team that didn't call correctly won. Irrespective of toss, whether it was called correctly, it was heads, and it was if it was even say called heads, the end result would have not changed at all. So Pakistan were given to win the toss, chose to bowl, but then they didn't make use of the bowling conditions, whatever they thought, and maybe they feared the dew factor. But then nothing worked when India in the way they are playing with their composition, they are too good, and it was a perfect result, an expected result. Nobody thought otherwise. So just the margin of victory was what was awaited.
No, I think so. You mean to say that, though it was a bit overcast when the game started, so you mean to say that the toss wouldn't have made a difference in whichever way. India having inserted, they were put into bat first, and again, typically Pratika Rawal, who's been in fine form, got off to a rousing start, 31 of 37 balls. And Mandhana also, kick-started, she got on to a brief score. She was 23 batting, but again failed to make on a big score. Harlin Diol, she's playing a role at number three really well, but again didn't kick on to make a big score, 46 of 65. Again, Harmanpreet Kaur getting a start. I mean, the worrying factor for me is though we had Jemima getting 32, Deepthi Sharma getting 25, Rana a quick fire 20, but I thought it was Richa Ghosh's cameo towards the end, 35 of 20 balls, which gave a fitting close to the innings where India got to 247 of 50 overs. They were bowled out. It was tough conditions to bat actually. 247, certainly looked like, 300 plus because the wicket was sluggish and India were put into bat under overcast conditions. What did you make of India's batting overall, Jiku? And is it still a worrisome factor, that our mainstays like Smriti Mandhana or Harmanpreet Kaur or Jemima, they've still not got into their stride and have not got into their form typically we associate with and not made those big runs.
Certainly, and we should be pleased for the fact that this has come against such not so tougher opposition like Sri Lanka and Pakistan, and hopefully they have got into the form. At least Smriti Mandhana, 8 in the first match, has got better in the second match against Pakistan. Though I thought that our the Indian batters, they played too many shots in the air and there was no power to the shots. If they are not confident of clearing the boundary, why go aerial? And it was not just one or two batter, but almost everyone who tried to go for big shots believed they could clear the boundary, but they ended up giving catches in the deep, including Smriti Mandhana, who was caught somewhere in the square on the offside. So some shot selection probably was something they have to work on or ponder over and get better at in the upcoming matches. 3 batters getting into the 20s, not making big. 3 batters getting into the 30s, again, not converting. And Harleen Duel for the second successive match, missing out on a well-deserved 50 or even maybe a bigger one. But perhaps these are the things they learn from, and perhaps be maybe fair or correct in their shot selections, not go aerial unless they're confident of clearing them. Of course, we know Richa Ghosh can clear easily. I've seen Richa Ghosh clear not just the boundary line at D.Y. Patil Stadium, but go well into the stands. So which is beyond the fence also. That is the power she has. Harmanpreet, we know what she is capable of, clearing even bigger grounds, even MCG into the stands. But when some batsmen, they don't, or batters, when they don't have that power, play along the ground. Some of them are playing beautiful strokes along the ground. So continue with that. Why go aerial and cut a sorry figure in the end?
Maybe it was to do with the nature of the pitch. It wasn't conducive for stroke play. Anyway, and then I think 247 was a huge target for Pakistan to chase down. Nothing much for the Pakistan bowlers in store. But when Pakistan were out for the chase, the worrisome factor was because it was so humid, overcast, in the first session. The peril was about rain coming in. So India had to, move quickly and get at least to the 20 overs minimum, wherein in case after that there was no game, at least India would have got through the DLS method. Now, barring Amin, who played really well for 81 of 106 balls, and Parvez in the lower middle order, she got 33 of 46. The rest of the Pakistani batters had no clue about how to face the pace duo of Kranti Gaud and Renuka Thakur, and of course the spin trio of Sneh Rana, Deepthi, and Sri Charani. We discussed in the preview, Jiko, about India not making a change, and it got to the situation wherein because of illness, Amanjeet Kaur had to miss out, and yes, the fair call was taken, and 6 months of hiatus post an injury, Renuka Singh Thakur came back, and she bowled 10 overs just for 29 runs, though she didn't pick up a wicket. I mean, how good was she, and what did you make out of her spell with Kranti Gaud up front in the power play?
Certainly, we all know what Renuka Singh is capable of, and she almost picked up a wicket in the very first over. There was a DRS which was missing Stump's first ball, and in the third ball, where they could have gone for a DRS, LBW, they didn't go for it because the umpire said no, and they thought the ball was missing leg. But in fact, the replay showed that it was in fact hitting the leg stump, and all three reds that the replay showed. Perhaps if they had taken DRS, maybe she would have struck straight away in the first over. But then she has been so very miserly, so very economical, swinging, and troubling the Pakistan opener. So there is no doubt about what Renuka is capable of. She is indeed a match winner who is likely to take wickets and who has taken wickets in the power play and containing the opposition openers. And Pakistan openers, they were struggling to put bat to ball. And of course, the batting was not that easy, like you were mentioning. But then they didn't even look like accelerating or even going, trying to make a match of the target, which was close to 5 runs and over. And there itself, they lost the match, the plot. And perhaps if India had taken those catches, Richa Ghosh, if Richa Ghosh had taken those catches up front and their main batter who made 81, she was dropped twice on 8. Perhaps if those catches were held, it would have been a much quicker and even more larger margin of victory for India. So Renuka Singh, yes, she makes batsmen play for their shots, makes it tougher, and formed a very good pair with Kranti Gaud. Kranti Gaud, like she said, made her debut in Sri Lanka in the Tri-Series in May, and to get a player of the match award in Colombo, that's fantastic. She's just...
Well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head because it was more so important for the management to test out Renuka Singh Thakur. You mentioned slightly weaker oppositions in the wake of Pakistan and Sri Lanka. These were the two teams wherein it was important for India to garner those 2 points, at the same time ensure that they could get some game time. Well, as
And
usual.
what this win has done is it has taken India to the top of the points table, 2 points from each of their first two matches, and also have a healthy net run rate. So that is very crucial, and this was very much needed. Whatever the margin, whatever the opposition, 2 wins in 2 matches, that will put them in good stead in the matches coming ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it showed, bowling out Pakistan in 43 overs for 159. That showed that India had a superior net run rate, post this game. Well, net run rate could be a factor that could come in towards the business end of the tournament, wherein you could see, teams closing in because the firm favorites to make the top four look like Australia, India, England, and the fourth team could be either New Zealand or, South Africa, because South Africa have lost one game by a very big margin against England, and it's going to be tough for them to recover from that. Having said that, mentioned the quality of spinners India have. 5 wickets apiece, 5 wickets between Sneh Rana and Deepti, 3 for Deepti and 2 for Rana. And Sri Charni, though she was not amongst wickets, was her miserly self. I mean, it was a good workout, I would say, because India is going to just play one game in Colombo, and they're back home for their remaining games to be played in India. But it's a tough call for India because they travel to different venues to play, each one of their games. They're not stationed in one place like, Pakistan has an advantage to play all their games in Colombo, which Pakistan certainly, are not making use of by any stretch of imagination. So overall, barring a couple of float catches, a gritty batting display, I would say, by India, and a very, confident and clinical bowling performance. So on a scale of 10, Jiku, how would you rate this Indian victory?
I don't want to be so very generous and give them 10 out of 10 because there are still some areas to work upon, especially the catching, and Richa Ghosh flooring 3 catches, 2 of them of the opener who went on to make it big, scoring a half century. And some of the ground fielding, like Sri Charni in the deep, could have done something better with the field, though there was, she did stop. There was one which she could have held, stopped and not given that boundary. But overall, maybe 8 out of 10 is I think a fair score for India against Pakistan, especially in the conditions that were presented to them. At the start you were saying about some needling that is between India and Pakistan. It was a bizarre start. Okay, toss was one bizarre thing, and the first wicket of Pakistan in their run chase, the run out of Muniba, that was something which was very, very schoolboyish. You ground the bat, you don't stand inside the crease. What do you have to do by just grounding the bat and removing the bat up? And the opposition is, in all fairness, right in thinking that the ball is still in play. And I thought it was a fair call, fair run out. As an umpire, can you throw some light on this particular mode of dismissal?
Absolutely. See, there was a lot of hue and cry about that particular run out.
Hey, 1 second. Yeah, Sri, sorry.
Just for the viewers, benefit. Law 30.1.2 does allow a batter to lose contact with the ground beyond the crease and not be given out, provided the batter is running or diving and the momentum is in the forward direction. So over in this case, she had just grounded the bat and taken the bat off the ground. There was no attempt for her either to regain the crease or the momentum was not towards the crease. So as per the law, she was run out. It was a perfect call that was made. And in fact, when I was watching the game, the TV umpire, made a very, very good explanation about why she judged the batter out. Of course, that was one more, thing that was pretty naive on the part of Pakistan. In fact, the batter on the way to the boundary had a discussion with the fourth umpire, and she was asked to leave the, ground because she was adjudged out. As you said, fair enough. 8 on 10, more or less. Even I would agree. Maybe I would have given a 7.5 because there's still a lot of work for our top batters. One of them has to go big. Maybe they peak at the right time. Come the big games like India plays England, Australia. That would be the game wherein we can look at the likes of Smriti or Harmanpreet stand up and make those big runs. In fact, even Jemima. That's one side of it. Again, these were two things. And we had a brief stoppage of play in the first innings for 15 minutes. There were moths all over the place, and the game had to be stopped, and it had to be sprayed to get the moths away. Typically, there are certain venues. In fact, I can associate in one of the local venues in Salem, where the Tamil Nadu Premier League happens, and we have issues with these moths. So they use drones to spray to keep these moths away. In fact, a couple of years back, a couple of games were stopped in between. They had got the anti-moth spray and sprayed it all over the ground, and for the spray to diffuse took about 5-10 minutes, and the game had to be resumed. So another strange thing. Luckily, no game was lost because of that. So overall, no India-Pakistan game goes down without a sort of controversy. The toss fiasco, game being stopped for 15 minutes, a run out which nobody would expect that happened. So takeaways for India, again a cohesive performance by the bowling unit, and when the chips were down, Richa Ghosh coming up with that cameo towards the end, and continuing the good form was Pratika Rawal and Harleen Deol. Though as I mentioned, we look at big scores from the big guns of the Indian batting unit. So I think 4 Sundays, Indians have slept well, they've partied. So Indians would have been back home, gearing up for their next game. So happy with the result, Jiku, and the way the Indian team turned out, because we were apprehensive about whether there would be a game or not. Those sluggish pitch conditions were not really good for a game of 50-over cricket, but nevertheless, full game that happened, and more so India getting 2 full points out of this game.
Definitely, any India victory, especially like I mentioned against Pakistan, anybody will be happy, and I'm delighted. And particularly, the weather was kind enough, only because the previous day there was a complete abandonment between the two, Australia and Sri Lanka. So I was worrying if there would be any interruption, but then I got message from Colombo from a good friend saying that the sun is out, though it is a bit cloudy, but then thank goodness the weather god was also kind enough to to ensure there was no stoppage or interruption due to weather. Yeah, and looking ahead, perhaps the main batters are reserving their best for the tougher opponents, starting with the next match against South Africa in Indore, where we can see runs galore. And that will probably be the start of big runs from the bats of, say, Smriti Mandhana and Harmanpreet Kaur. And of course, those who have got runs already make it big, make big their starts, and take the match away from the opposition with just sheer number of runs on the board.
Well, Jiku, correction. I think India plays South Africa in the next game.
India, South Africa, and Visakhapatnam, not Indore. Yeah, that's right.
It is Visakhapatnam.
Visakhapatnam,
So India
yes.
would be all the more happy to have played in Colombo, because Vizag is a place which, the conditions, I'm talking about the humidity, very similar to what it is in Colombo. They've
Right.
got themselves acclimatized, and well-deserved break for a couple of days. Indians would train hard, and in fact, they had a preparatory camp in Vizag, and they would be, well-versed with the conditions there. And typically, the Rajshekhar Reddy Stadium there, YSR Stadium, is always full of runs, and South Africa also would be down, having being bowled out for 60 odd against England, and within the power play, the game was over. To recover from that defeat, to come back and compete against the strong Indian sides would be a tough call for them. Having said that, I think India would really look at one tough opposition starting against South Africa. So, well, Jiko, thanks for your wonderful insights, as you've been always, especially, why I say with women cricketers, there is a lot of cricket that has happened international with the Indian team, plus the Women Premier League that has happened regularly in Mumbai. And you've been one who's followed that very closely. So, I decided to be the host for this show and make you the expert so that, you can throw more light on it. Viewers, I hope you will certainly enjoy this show. We expect your feedback, more people to subscribe to the channel, share and spread it among your friends. Till the next game at Vizag, when we meet up for the preview of the India-South Africa game. That's it from GK Sports India. As always, Jiku, thank you very much for throwing light on, a lot of areas where India could get better and where they were good. Thank you very much for your insights.
Thank you very much, Sri. Thank you, and you have put me in the hot seat for this entire tournament. And I will try my best with whatever I have seen of women's cricket, whatever I am following of women's cricket. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye bye.
Rest assured, Jiko, you are in the hot seat and the seat is pretty cool now. You've got used to that, and maybe slowly we will turn the tables around and go this way. Thank you, viewers. Keep watching us till we meet next. Take care and stay safe. Bye.
Bye bye.